Yo, what's good, guys? We're back at it again with another MLB The Show 25 video for you guys, and today's topic is going to be everything Team Affinity, everything you need to know about it, as well as a little tier list at the end. We are, over a week into the game now. I've actually been able to use a lot of these cards, but obviously haven't got to use all of them, because there are some people out there that are getting every Team Affinity done now. But it is a grind. You do have to use either a lot of players from a certain team or specific players from a certain team if you really want to knock out Team Affinity, as well as something that I didn't know until I recently discovered it and started grinding it myself. So that you do enjoy the content, if this does help you to complete more Team Affinities, to kind of understand the concept better, feel free to like and subscribe. And yeah, so let's go ahead and hop into it. So come over to programs, Team Affinity, and you can see that I have started knocking some out. Red Sox is pretty far for me. Phillies are pretty far. Basically, like 5% means you're done right now because you're getting this player, which this is all they really expect you to be at right now. Everything else is just kind of extra rewards. You can see pretty far down the line here. We have all-star vouchers. We have finest vouchers, so they do not expect you to get this far. You definitely can get this far right now, but they are not necessarily expecting you to be that far along. So the main thing I wanted to point out was kind of how to attack this, and some silvers, some golds you should probably target, like this Joe Kelly, for instance. That's going to be more so in the tier list, but I just kind of want to run through the program, show you guys the best way to attack it. So you can do these moments. That gets you 5k, which is conveniently the perfect amount to go ahead and get these silvers, who have parallel specific missions. Like Joe Kelly has 200 PXP, that'll be super easy. Verdugo needs 300, he's kind of not the greatest. And then Clay Buchholz needs 500, but after you get Buchholz, you're pretty much done. And then there's like these one-time missions. I believe there's repeatable missions as well. And once you start to knock out a lot of this stuff, that's when you're pretty much done with the program. They did add a exchange. There was not an exchange here when the content first came out, and then you have kind of these big missions. So it kind of keeps going, and then you have like all-time records, which you're not really doing unless you're trying to get like the #1 fan for the team. So those type of missions don't really matter. The thing that I did not know, that you guys may have also not known, is you do have to actually go into this screen and collect the live series. If you do a live series collection for the team, you are earning 20,000 Team Affinity credits, but you do actually have to come in here and collect them here. The last few years, when you kind of just collect stuff, it automatically counted. This year, it does not. You do have to go into each of those individually and collect those. So for the sake of this, we are starting to knock out some teams here, as you can see, some divisions here. So I am doing the Rockies. I saved this just for this video. So you can see we hit DJ LeMahieu. Not the best card in the world, but when we come over to National League, go to our Rockies, you can see we're at 2% because we used some of the pitchers like Ubaldo Jimenez and Chase Dollander. And so now when we collect this DJ LeMahieu, we should be at Todd Helton. Now, yeah, so you can see we have unlocked Todd Helton there, who is a very solid card with some nice quirks, nice swings. And that's pretty easy. This Rockies collection is probably like 2,500, 3,000 subs to do something like that. Some of the bronzes are pretty expensive, but just through playing the game, you can easily get enough to do that, along with using some of the cards and other stuff like that. So just wanted to make sure you guys know you do have to go into the Team Affinity screen to collect those live series rewards, because I collected a few teams and the math wasn't mathing. So you do have to go into that screen to lock them in, which they're untradeable anyway, so you're not really locking in anything too important. And then all of that will go into these Jolt collections, which you can lock in for a Jolt series voucher and a couple packs here and there, as well as a lot of these Team Affinity cards and live series collections are going to go into the smaller collections, which aren't super rewarding now, But when the big legend and flashback collections start to come out, you're going to want to have a lot of these live series teams done, and have a lot of the Team Affinity stuff done, because this Jolt thing is going to have to be done. There will probably be like an all-star collection down the road and a finest collection down the road that you will need all of these cards for, if you're going to do. And if you have 0% progress in a lot of these teams, come finest, come all-star, you're not going to have a fun time catching up. So I would go ahead and get on that as quick as possible. And that's pretty much it for Team Affinity. I would probably, if you have a favorite team and you want to go do that, you can obviously go do that. I'm not going to tell you not to. But I would try to target teams that you know typically don't get great players. Like, you would think the White Sox would be pretty hard to do. But if you have like Garrett Crochet, Hagen Smith, Noah Schultz, a lot of these good lefties that are really good in the game right now, they're relatively easy to do. You would think the Pirates would be bad to do. If you own Paul Skeens, he'll get it done by yourself. If you own Ketel Marte, the Diamondbacks will get it done by themselves. The Dodgers have a ton of good players like Will Smith, Mookie Betts, Shohei, players like that. A lot of good pitching as well, so they will kind of get done over time by themselves. You don't really have to go out of your way to get a lot of like the meta teams like the Dodgers, the Yankees, who always have good cards, and you can always kind of rely on them. They'll be easy enough to do. I would kind of go out your way, do some of the more niche teams like the Tigers, stuff like that, knock them out, so you're not super far behind in the future. And now I think it's time for our tier list. If you guys are new to the channel, then you may not be familiar with our tier list, but it is part of a big part of the channel. So hopefully everything's good. Let's go ahead and get this set up real quick. And now we're good. All right, so here is all of the more relevant Team Affinity cards. I didn't put every gold and silver on here. Every diamond is on here, but I did not put every gold and silver because a lot of them just aren't super worth using. So Adam Dunn for a silver card, S tier. Like, I'm kind of taking into account how long it takes to grind these cards. These two are 1 moment. The silvers are like 1 moments. The golds, not as great. By the time you have the gold, you almost are at the diamond, so it's not really super worth it time-wise, to prioritize a lot of the golds. But like Beltre, probably A tier. You can use him if you're using a starter team. This Alex Gordon, probably A tier card. Really only hits righties super well. Soriano, I think, is like A tier. Not the best swing in the world. It has some value at second base. McCutcheon, C tier or B tier, somewhere in here. The bat's really good. The defense is absolutely awful. Andrew Miller, S tier. You know, it's hard to have good lefties right now. He's not awesome. I wouldn't say he is probably by default one of the better lefty relievers in the game right now. But when you look at like Aaron Loop and guys like that who historically are dominant, Miller's not really up to par with them. Babe Ruth, S tier, easily. Not the craziest hitting stats, and they took away some of his quirks this year. But the guy just mashes, always has a good swing, always gets high exit velos, even this year when they're down. So I think he's pretty easily S tier. Ben Rice, for what he is probably S tier. Nice lefty swing, is a little bit tall, but just crazy power. So if you're on those lower ranks, if you're just getting on the game and you want to grind some Yankees Team Affinity and maybe play like a ranked game on All-Star or Veteran, he can definitely fill in for you and just be perfectly fine there. Bobby Grich, maybe top of A tier, maybe S tier. This is just a card I haven't personally used yet. I haven't got my hands on Mike Trout, so the Angels is kind of dragging along quite a bit. If he has a good swing, he's probably S tier. If not, he's probably comparable to Soriano, where at second base he brings some value. Okay, I know who this is now. It's hard to read. Shows on like made their website a lot smaller. So this is Brooks Lee, I think his name is, switch hitting prospect for the Twins. So as far as a gold Team Affinity card goes, can't really go wrong with a switch hitting shortstop / second baseman. I'm pretty sure he had a pretty good swing last year too. Cal Ripken, A tier. I actually like Ripken cards. Don't think his swing is bad at all. It's just stat wise, he's just never really exactly what you want in a shortstop. Ernie Banks was just always kind of the best of that archetype of shortstop. This Beltran C tier, worth mentioning if you just want to try his swing out before you get the live series or something like that. Um, he's worth mentioning, but this card, not necessarily the greatest. Carlos Pena, probably right here. I would probably rather use Adam Dunn and rather use the Rockies Jason Giambi than this Carlos Pena, but he's definitely a usable card and he always has a nice lefty swing. Play Buckle, it's probably top of A tier. Usable is how I would describe him, especially as you go up in difficulties. Once you make it to Hall of Fame, Legend, go even, he'll be fine because, low velocity pitchers get better as they kind of go up. But on All-Star, on Veteran, he's just going to be a guy, just a normal pitcher. Can't really expect too much out of him. Biggio, not a huge fan of, does have like some positional value at catcher. I just don't think any of these Team Affinity catchers are that great. I think his swing is worse than it has been in last year's. And I think just exit velos being down across the board, I'm not really trying to use somebody with like 60-40 power personally. Eric Gagne, probably S tier. Probably won't do great against CPU for you just because the hits aren't crazy high, but you can pitch him online. He's not going to be great, but for the time investment, it's a usable card, which is all you can really ask. Evan Carter, probably B tier. He's more of like a platoon bat, but he has nice speed to make up for the mediocre defense, and he has really good power against righties. So if you like that, then you can run him. If you've played co-op, you've probably ended up with him at some point. He's all right. He's fine. Can't really touch a lefty, but against righties, he absolutely mashes. Tatis, easy, top S tier card. Has crazy quirks this year. Has a nice swing. And this one has some decent stats to where for a silver card, you can't really be mad at the way he plays. Blank Thomas got flanked by the boss. He's all right. So yeah, statistically, he is looking like one of the better Team Affinity cards, but typically people don't really enjoy his swing. Typically, he's like an opposite field tendency hitter, which gives him tighter inside windows, and he has a swing that people want to jam you on anyway. So you got to take that into account. For some people, he will be S tier. I think for the majority of people, he'll be like A tier. George Brett, easy S tier here. Super usable third baseman. Again, with the way power plays, it's not ideal this year to have somebody with like 60-40, whatever he has. But he always has really good quirks, always has a swing that kind of makes him play higher than his overall. So, should be usable. Hank Thompson, not a big fan of this. When you compare him with Brett, and they're both third baseman, it's kind of night and day. Also think traditionally he doesn't have the best swing in the world. Kinsler kind of goes in the Biggio area where I really want to use a Kinsler card. He always has a nice swing, but he's just never statistically really up to par with a lot of the other cards. Jackson Joe, I think he's like Buckholz territory. This is a card similar to Bobby Grits where I just have to use it, and we're working on it. You saw the Tigers in the lineup, but his speed differentials are bad. He doesn't really have outlier. So I could see this card going either way. He could just be Paul Skeens without outlier, which sounds absolutely terrible. Or he could just be a very solid online pitcher. Kind of hard to tell at the moment. James Wood, I think for a team of Indy cards, he's probably S tier. He gives you a lot of what you want. He's fast, which makes up for his defense not being crazy, and he has good power. I wouldn't say he has an awesome swing. A lot of people did like the chase card one last year when he got caught up. But I think he's fine. I think he's S tier. He's one of the better ones to go out and grind for, but I don't think he's anything stellar. Giambi, like I said, if you just need a first baseman, plug and play, first minute on the game, you can go get this guy within like 2 minutes. He's worth it. Jim Edmonds, I think he's like B tier, honestly, because he's not super fast. He has good reactions in center field, but he's not super fast, so his range is super limited. And then his clutch is terrible. So on veteran, he probably is like really good. On All Star, he peters off a little bit, and then once you get to Hall of Fame, he's just not really a guy I'd even be thinking about. To be 100% honest with you, Jim Cat, just a card I got used. He throws a screwball, so that's kind of already making him more volatile. To where he'll either throw a no hitter or get lit up. So he's all right. His hits aren't super great, but maybe he has the best pitch mix out of these Team Affinity pitchers. It's just kind of something got to use more than anything else. Joe Kelly, easy S tier, up there with Tatis. One of the better cards you can just go get in like 2 seconds. I mentioned it earlier in the video. Super worth getting. Joe Musgrove probably just blends in with these other pitchers where if you just need an arm, he'll give it to you, but he's not going to be great. John Franco, however you say it, top of S tier. I think, again, similar to Miller, he's not the best lefty in the world historically. He is kind of a volatile lefty to bring in, but there's just not a ton of awesome lefties, and you kind of do want like a change of pace. Lefty out the bullpen. Also, the Mets are a pretty easy team to get done. Johnny Bench goes in B tier with Biggio. Gives you a little more power than Biggio, gives you a little more defense, is more well-rounded, I would say, whereas Biggio is like a speed contact catcher, which is kind of weird. Johnny Bench is more all-around, just never really a card that I love personally. Junior Caminero, probably S tier. Haven't used him a ton. Don't know if his swing is super awesome or not. Absolutely destroys lefties and is at least serviceable against righties. So that, I mean, already makes him S tier when you compare him to a lot of these other Team Affinity cards. Justin Martinez, probably top of A tier. On paper, I don't think he's that good, but there's just not a ton of amazing bullpen arms in the game right now. So if you want to argue for S tier, I'd be down for it. This Griffey card, relative to the time you have to sink in to get him, I do think he's better than like Jim Edmonds. Like I would rather probably run this Griffey than Edmonds. They have like the same speed, more or less like the same fielding. Griffey has like 90 clutch, has a way better swing, has really good quirks. This Griffey card you could use online if you really wanted to. Probably wouldn't, but if you really want to, super serviceable card. Probably not S tier, but usable. Marte, another insane starter card. If you get on the game, you can go do the moment, get him instantly. Switch hitting guy with crazy quirks, has a super nice swing this year. The stats aren't great, but that's kind of what you get with a silver card more times than not. Kyle Schwarber, S tier. Won't play super great on like Hall of Fame. You can probably use him on Hall of Fame. But once you get to like Legend, gotta get off of him. Super low contact, super low clutch to where on Veteran and All Star, he'll probably be the best hitter on your team. And then once you get past there, he's like a 7, 8, 9 hitter. And eventually you just kind of have to bench him. Matt Holliday, I think top of A tier. The power is kind of an issue with him, but he has really good quirks and a swing that a lot of people like. I don't love it, but a lot of people do usually like Matt Holliday's swing to where if you want to argue he should be higher because his defense isn't absolutely terrible, I would hear it. But for me personally, don't love him. Max Muncy, think he's just a slightly worse version of Schwarber. It kind of depends on where you want to play him. If you want to play him at like second or third instead of Schwarber, who's stuck in left field or DH. Muncy gives you a little more, versatility in that regard. And I think they kind of have similar swings. Most people will get along better with Schwarber, but traditionally I do usually like Max Muncy cards. Mike Cameron, top of A tier. I think he's similar to Griffey. Doesn't quite give you such a good swing like Griffey does, but I believe he has good quirks. A lot of people enjoyed his cards last year. This is a pretty well statted gold, especially. Piazza, I think he's solid. I mean, I'd probably rather use this gold Piazza than Johnny Bench or Biggio. He's not great by any means, but he has good quirks. He's a offensive first catcher, which is what you want in the show. So I think that's a very solid card there. Castellanos, B tier. He has a nice swing, but he is a pinch hitter against lefties, but there can't be anybody on second base because he has like 54 clutch. So kind of a weird situation to be in. He's like a platoon outfielder that can't play defense. So not my favorite card in the world there. Nolan Jones, S tier easily. Has one of the best swings in the game every single year. I tell people he got like a 93 last year. That was crazy. If he gets a 93 this year, when like 93 are some of the best cards available, he's going to be insane. Pedro, A tier, can give you some innings online. I would feel just as confident pitching this gold Pedro as I would Job, Cat, or Buchholz. So Nothing wrong with that card, especially for the time you put in. Preston Wilson reminds me a lot of just Mike Cameron. So, um, is what it is. You're basically grinding like a diamond instead of a gold. Randy, S tier. It's Randy. You can use this card online, seriously. I'm not expecting him to be dominant because he doesn't have like outlier or anything, but just the intimidation factor of Randy and actually having pretty good hits, um, he's usable, which is all you can really ask for out of a silver card. Reese Hoskins, when you put it on paper, he doesn't look as crazy as Giambi or um, like Adam Dunn. Maybe the extra time it takes to get to the gold from the silver just isn't worth it. But he always has a nice swing with a nice high early leg kick. And he statted pretty well with some better contact to where if you struggle with PCI placement, or if you are getting to maybe Hall of Fame and you just want a super budget card, he can do that. Richie Sexton, S tier. Just crazy power, some of the best power you can possibly get out of Team Affinity. I think he's probably the best Team Affinity. Right next to this guy, Raleigh Fingers. If you played last year's game, you know Raleigh's fingers were all over the game. He had multiple cards that were really good to use last year. Just a super consistent bullpen arm. Usually not super shut down. He usually gives up like one hit, but just the pure speed differential that he has and some of the stuff and the arm slot he has and the control just makes him a non-volatile reliever out of the bullpen. He just comes in, he's consistent, he's good every single time you bring him in. That's all you can really ask for. Roy Halladay, B tier. Pitch mix wise, he's going to be up there, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. But he just always has really low hits to where maybe early on in the game span, if you are on like Legend or even GOAT, this might be one of the better options just because hits won't matter as much because everybody's going to have a small PCI no matter what. But overall, not a card that your general player should be using. Todd Helton, I think he's probably top of A. He's not going to be for everybody. I do like his swing. I think he actually has a good lefty swing. I think just relative to the time you're going to put in, like you could play Nolan Jones at first if he has a first base secondary, and he's going to be 90% of what Todd Helton is. So Glavin, just another like A tier pitcher where he's definitely better than somebody like Holiday, especially on lower difficulties. But just he's going to be mid, like he's not going to be anything insane. Travis d'Arnaud, he kind of goes in this like Beltran Castellanos area where it's a cool card and he's a pinch hitter against lefties and he actually has clutch, unlike Castellanos. So I guess I can give him a bump for that. But he's nothing crazy. And then Yohan Moncada, S tier. He's like an upgraded version of Marte. Doesn't quite have as many good quirks as Marte does, but he has a nice swing and his stats are pretty well rounded. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the tier list. I'm going to try to link it. It seems a little iffy about being linked in the description, but if you guys enjoyed, again, like and subscribe.